Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So, March of the Machine. I always gotta double check myself on that because I always want to say machines and it's not machines. Regardless, Mom is here. Spoiler season is here. Day 4, technically day 4 kind of. I mean, we had the weekend, but day 4. Anyways, we have a lot of exciting cards, a lot of exciting partner commanders that aren't partners, but they partner together. They're just two creatures in one kind of, you know what I mean. Regardless, let's jump into yet another one, an incredibly exciting, incredibly powerful one. And lore mages out there, I thought Hazoret was gone. I don't know. I'm not that good at paying attention to certain things in the lore. I kind of from the side see it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's happening. I thought Hazoret was taken out. Wasn't there a Hazoret's Final Stand or something like that card as well? That was really bad, 6 mana or something like that. Regardless, Djeru and Hazoret are here, and they're together, and they're best buds. Let's take things out. 5/4 human god that costs 2 red, and a white, as long as you have 1 or fewer cards in hand. Djeru and Hazoret has vigilance and haste. So, if you don't have any cards in hand, this gets even better. You can swing with it right away, and it also can be back for blocking too, which is very nice. Also on top of that though, and more importantly, whenever it attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. I wonder what's coming next. You may exile a legendary creature card from among them, but the rest of them in your library in a random order. Until end of turn, you may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. My goodness. Okay, so this is basically, it's kind of okay, it's not Winona, because Winona triggers for a lot of things, but regardless, this is hey, go cheat things off the top of your library into play just by attacking, and of course, maybe you've got some other creatures with attack triggers you want to take advantage of, and maybe you want to get some additional attacks, and hey, maybe you've got some ways to set the top of your library so you know what's on top there, and you can just cheat giant things into play. Basically, this is legendary creature tribal cheat things into play, hit your opponents for a ton. Aggressive Boros combat fun times. That's that's pretty bite-sized right there, right? That just put that whole thing in the description, Mitch, right? That's exactly what we're gonna do. Future Mitch, when you're editing this, just do that, okay? No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, this is a crazy effect. One that, again, out of the top 6 cards in your library, you are bound to hit something again. If you're building this deck with a focus enough on legendary creature tribal, you are pretty much, I'm not going to say guaranteed. There's definitely whiffs that can happen, but there's going to be other times where you're like, oh, I got 3 or 4 legends to pick from, and I'll just pick the best one. So yeah, you can have some massive plays with this. You can have some really cool effects. Of course, there are ways to take even more advantage of this. And yeah, of course, you can just do this right away. Again, if you've got no hand, cool. I don't need a hand. I'm doing the top of my library. I get the top of my library. So I'm just going to swing right away with this again, because that vigilance and haste is really nice again. And of course, there are ways to discard cards from your hand or remove cards from your hand maybe, and we'll talk about some really spicy ones. And yeah, we're gonna get into the budget buys again, cards that are less than $1, cards that are within my budget to consider, and cards that are above my dollar, above my price, above my budget. There we go. Gosh, it's been a long day so far. With the pricier picks again, cards that are above $1 too. So yeah, regardless, all these cards will be in a singular link in the description below, so make sure you check that out. Again, when a new exciting commander like this one is spoiled, especially one that packs quite the powerful punch like this one, sometimes cards that work well with it tend to go up in price sooner rather than later. So yeah, make sure you're considering picking up some of those cards if you're interested in this commander. Now, with all that said, let's jump into the budget buys. Oh my goodness. Anytime I can bring this card up that works well with the commander, I love bringing it up because it is spicy. Here we go. Penance. An old, terrible card, for the most part, right? For most circumstances, for most decks, are why would I run that? That is awful. An enchant for 2 and a white. Choose a card from your hand, put on top of your library, prevent all damage from a black or red source. Yep, this is incredibly specific in what it does, but with this commander, it is incredible. You can set the top of your library. Again, you're like, oh, okay, I'm about to attack with my commander. I have this giant legendary creature in my hand that I don't really want in my hand because it's really expensive and I wish it was on top of my... Oh, wait, I've got Penance in play. Cool, I'll take it out of my hand, put it on top of my library, and then I'll utilize my commander's trigger. Yeah, you basically are like, what creature in my hand do I want to cheat into play in combination with your commander? This is an incredible card. And also, you are guaranteed to have a target with it because, well, you could, in a pinch, just target your commander. Again, this says, prevent all damage from a black or red source. You need a legal target for this. You cannot be like, well, there's no red or black creatures in play, and I'll just I'll target your land. Ha, 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 ha. No, that doesn't work. You need to actually have a legal target for it. And again, your commander, when needed, does meet that requirement. Now, obviously, you'd probably rather choose one of your opponent's things if they've got a red or black permanent, essentially. Cool. Choose one of those. But most of the time, it's just going to be like, oh, okay, well, if not, I've got my commander around and I can utilize that. It doesn't matter, though. Again, the point of this card is, hey, cheat things basically out of your hand into play by just going through the top of your library in your commander. It's a great card for a commander like this. Next up, Brainstone. Another great card. Again, you don't have access to Brainstorm, but you got access to Brainstone. Artifact for 1, pay 2 tap, sacrifice. No, it's not Wayfarer's Bauble. Sorry, Wayfarer's Bauble, I love you. Anyways, search it. Sacrifice it, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. Again, I just literally started Wayfarer's Bauble. Search your library for a basically input play time. Anyways, basically a Brainstorm on an artifact and draw 3 off the top of your library. Huh, okay. Well, you know what? I've got a legendary creature in my hand that's gigantic that I really would like to cheat and play with my commander, so I'm just going to take that and another card. Maybe another legendary creature if you can, get 2 triggers, essentially, and there's ways to do that. And yeah, basically be able to say, I'm just going to set myself up to cheat in the right creature, which is just absolutely fantastic. Speaking of which, Scrying can really help you as well. Crystal Ball, a great card for a commander like this. Pay 1, tap, scry 2. Very efficient, very effective. Card filtering, card selection, and yeah, if you're like, look at the top of your library, like, oh, there's not any legendary creatures in here. About to attack with my commander, just to make the percentage go up, essentially, and be like, well, okay, look, if I keep these on top, then I only have, what, like a 60%, or I only have, like, what, 4 out of the 6 cards left, essentially, that can possibly be a legendary creature. Let's ditch those 2, bring that back up to essentially all 6 could potentially be, or, essentially, you're upping your percentage. You know what I mean, mathematicians in the comments below, help me out. Regardless, if you see, one of the top 2 cards in your library is a giant creature, keep it on top. Cheat into play with your commander. Have fun. Yeah, Scrying can be great with this kind of a commander. Next up, speaking of artifacts that can help out this commander, Prowler's Helm. Your commander, even though it is a god, and many gods in Magic are indestructible or have some kind of a protection, this one does not. So, hey, a quick creature can't be blocked except by walls. Yep, Prowler's Helm is great for this kind of a commander. Just, again, very cheaply, very efficiently, put on your commander, and unless you're playing against Wall Tribal, and Wall Tribal, all 3 opponents are playing Arcades the Strategist, that would be a very bad scenario for this card. That's a very rare one to ever happen, and typically players don't have any walls in their deck at all, so your opponents won't be able to block your commander. Just basically, this is your commander is unblockable, and therefore protected in combat, and therefore protected when you want to go get that trigger. So yeah, make sure you're utilizing this and other evasive effects as well. Hexplate Wallbreaker. My goodness, I love this kind of a card. Now, I will mention really quick, there aren't many additional combat spells or cards in budget because, well, new commanders keep getting printed that are good with those. Ishin, I blame you, mostly, for many of the extra combats being very expensive. Regardless, Hexplate Wallbreaker is budget-friendly currently. For Mirrodin, comes into play with a 2/2 attached to it. Equip creature +2/+2. Whenever attacks, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap each attacking creature up this phase. Initial combat phase, basically, hey, you swing with it, you get extra combat. That means your commander gets to swing again, which means you get that trigger again, which means you get another creature at the top of your library into play for free again. Yeah, this can just be a great card. And yeah, just a really great effect. So again, Wizards, please reprint more of the additional combat cards. But yeah, make sure you utilize the ones that you can with this commander. Next up, Atali Primal Storm. Again, you can really take advantage of additional combats. You can take advantage of attack triggers. And when you can do so with a legendary creature that you can cheat into play with your commander, lovely. Especially one that can cheat even more things into play. Atali Primal Storm is a 6/6 Elder Dinosaur. Whenever it attacks, you exile the top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana cost. First up, everyone, really quick, just a very sad day. Earmuffs if you don't want the story spoiled. Atali is a Phyrexian after this. But this Atali was not a Phyrexian, so yeah. Utilize that attack trigger, steal things off the top of your opponent's libraries as well, utilize even more cards off the top of yours, and yeah, again, with additional combats, get even more value out of this and your commander. This can just be an absolutely absurd thing to get into play. Speaking of which, we're not done with absurd things. Dracoseth Maw of Flames. I love getting this thing cheated into play. Just cheating this into play, just be a lovely thing again for a deck that really wants to get some additional combats going. 7/7 Flying Dragon. Number attacks deals 4 damage to any target, 3 damage each up to 2 other targets. Basically, 10 damage spread out every single attack. That can take out a lot of things, or you can just ping your opponents in the face. Again, it's also a 7/7 flyer too. But yeah, when you're getting additional combats, yeah, have fun hitting your opponents for even more, or their creatures for even more. You can really spread out that damage and take out the exact things that you need. Just a great thing to hit off the top with this commander. Also, when you are hitting these creatures off the top, a legendary creature that can benefit from those creatures coming into play, especially the massive ones, is someone like Elena, Casting Trapper. 4/3 first strike, tap, add amount of red, equal to the greatest power when creatures you control that enter the battlefield this turn. Again, Draco's Death comes into play. Cool. 7 power hits the board. Now this can tap for 7, which helps you cast things out of your hand too. So again, kind of on each end, you can be like, well, now I'm not stuck with certain things in my hand if you don't have that penance, have that brainstone, etc., etc. You can be like, cool, I can cast these giant creatures out of my hand, get things off the top of my library for free. You can really keep things going with something like this. And I'm just going to mention Hero's Podium. This is great basically in any legendary creature tribal deck that's just very specifically focused to saying, you know what, the more legendary creatures I can play, the better. Hero's Podium. Each legendary creature you control gets +1 for each other legendary creatures you control. Basically a giant anthem for all your legendary creatures, and it's like, hey, you got 6 in play, +6/+6 to everyone. Massive heavy hitting. A great way to protect your commander in combat, of course, is just to make it bigger. And then also, yeah, hit your opponents for even more. This can easily turn your commander into a 2-shot KO. And also on top of that, pay X tap, look at the top X card of your library. If you have a legendary creature card from them, put in your hand, the rest of your library in random order. If you're desperate, if you need some extra card advantage, utilize this to get something off the top into your hand as well. Moving on, Urza's Ruinous Blast. Legendary sorcery. Oh, goodness. For 5 mana, again, you're going to have a lot of legends in play. Your opponents won't maybe have as many legendary creatures in play. Exile another permanent not legendary. Goodbye, many things on the board. Hello, one-sided board wipe, where my things stay here. Yours are permanently gone. And then maybe swing out after that. Take your opponents out and have a good time doing it. Now that we've talked about every single one of the budget buys, let's move on to the pricier picks. And yeah, there's some real heavy hitters in here. And we're going to start things off with one that you definitely want to hit off the top of your library, Aurelia the War Leader. Gross. Oh my goodness, gross. 3/4, Flying Vigilant, Hasty Angel, so you can swing right away. Whenever Aurelia the War Leader attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creature you control after this phase, additional combat phase. So she is fantastic to hit off the top, obviously, because hey, now every time I attack with her, for the first time each turn, I get an extra combat phase, which then gets my commander to trigger again. And all those other triggers. Again, you get a Tali in there too. Gross. So many gross things can happen. We're not done yet. Because also, Karlach, Fury of Avernus can do this too, essentially. Why not? 5/4, Tiefling Barbarian. Whenever you attack with its first combat phase of the turn, untap all attacking creatures. They gain first strike until I'm turn after this main phase, or after this phase, social combat phase. This one also gives first strike. Nice. Have fun with that. Again, a great way to protect your commander and other things as well. And yeah, just another additional way to do this. Keep in mind, if you have both of these in play, Aurelia and Karlach, you're not going to get both because, yeah, it's only one trigger. I believe you're only going to get one both. Just let me know in the comments below. But regardless, the more and more of these effects you have in the deck, obviously, the bigger potential is that you hit them and the more explosive plays you can have. Speaking of which, another way to go about extra combats, Morog, Fury of Akum. 6/6 Minotaur Warrior. Each creature you control gets +1/+0 for each time it has attacked this turn. Again, this is just going to pump your creatures even more the more times you attack. A great anthem, essentially. And on top of that, landfall. Whenever land is battlefield under control, if it's your main phase, it's your combat phase, followers to main phase. Basically, hey, you get an extra combat. So essentially, now on top of, maybe those other additional combats you have from attacking, you're also going to get them whenever you just play lands. So play lands when you need to. And yeah. Get extra combats, swing more, get more creatures off the top, more legendary creatures off the top, get your Atali triggers, get all the other triggers, Draco's triggers, all the triggers, have fun. And like I mentioned earlier, Wizards, reprint extra combat spells, please. When Assault used to be budget friendly for such a long time, and then again, you start printing more and more additional combat commanders that love additional combats, like Ishin, and now it's incredibly expensive. I mean, this is like a $3 card now. I think it was like 40, 50 cents or whatever it was. Again, Relentless Assault, basically just sorcery. Hey, untap all creatures attack this turn, main phase, additional combat phase, additional main phase. Basically, you get an extra combat. Very simply, very easily. Go get extra combat. And yeah, this very simple, 4-mana spell can provide you a lot more benefits than just 4 mana, right? Swing out with your creatures, get something big off the top of your library for free, get other things off the top of your library with the Tali. Have fun. Next up, Stranic Resonator. You can also just, instead of getting extra combat, potentially utilize that trigger again by doubling it up. Pay 2, tap, copy target trigger ability you control. Choose targets for the copy. Stranic Resonator is a fantastic card. Basically, 2 mana. Hey, do you want your commander's trigger again? Or a Tali's trigger again? Or whatever? Yeah, 2 mana. Have fun. Again, for 2 mana for your commander, maybe cheat another creature into play off the top of your library. Well worth it. Next up, Darksteel Plate. Another great artifact that can help you out. Indestructible. Equip creature is indestructible. A great way to protect your commander again. Protecting your commander in combat is very important because you want your commander to stick around so you get that additional, you get that additional value, get that trigger again and again and again. You gotta send your commander into danger, so you might as well suit it up with something like this that is also hard to deal with. And then speaking of hard to deal with, hey, why don't we just hit Avacyn off the top of our library? Instead of paying that 8 mana for this card, cheat it into play. Great. 8/8 Flying Vigilant, Indestructible. Angel, other permanents you control have Indestructible. Protect your entire team with a giant 8/8. Oh my goodness. So yeah, protects your commander in combat, protects all your other creatures in combat, protects everything you have. If your opponents have a way to deal with this, they're going to be in big trouble. Speaking of which, oh, gross. I mean, I had to bring this up in this set, but Elesh Norn, Grand Cenobite, yeah, a great ledger creature off the top. 4/7 Vigilant Praetor, other creatures you control with +2/+2, creatures opponents control -2/-2. Basically a giant anthem for you, a giant anti-anthem for your opponents. Basically a 4-point difference in power toughness for you and your opponent's creatures, essentially, right? So hit harder with your creatures. Some of your opponent's creatures are small, for just going to get taken out, and then the other ones are going to be a lot less effective, being a lot smaller. So yeah, great thing to hit off the top, especially again, yeah, you're going to combat, you're swinging, you're like, oh yeah, by the way, Elesh Norn in play. Better rethink those blocks, opponents. Have fun. Speaking of fun, yeah, you can go get some gross Eldrazi too, like Kozilek Butcher of Truth. 12/12. When you cast this spell, draw 4 cards. Again, let me just read what the commander says. Until end turn, you may cast the exile card with paying its mana cost. Oh, it doesn't say anything on there, like, you know, just put it into play. It says no, cast it. So you are getting that cast trigger. Draw those 4 cards. It's a great way to take advantage of cast triggers with something like this. On top of that, it's a 12/12 with Annihilator 4. So, hey, if it attacks you, sacrifice 4 permanents. Gross. On top of that, if this is dealt with, it's putting a grave from anywhere, shovels it, you shovel in your library. So you could get it back off the top again, and then get those 4 cards again, and annihilate 4 even more. Have fun. Yeah, some big things you can get in the pricier picks as well. Overall, I think a lot of players are going to be really excited about this one. Yeah, just a really attack-centered commander that's just like, let's attack. Oh, I got bigger things. Let's attack again. Oh, let's get their attack triggers too. Oh, let's do it again. Yeah. Cheating things into play, cheating legendary creatures into play, legendary tribal attack commander. Oh my goodness. I think a lot of players are going to be really excited about this one. If you're one of those players, make sure you check out that card list link in the description below. Make sure you consider picking up some of those cards sooner rather than later, because again, when a new exciting commander like this one is spoiled, and I do think this one's going to be quite popular, pick up some of those cards, because sometimes some of those cards go up in price, well, even before the set comes out. Also, if you haven't seen my most recent episode on Kroxa and Kanoros, potentially a new bestest boy. 3-headed dog and an elder giant or whatever. Oh my goodness. Just a really fun commander. Also one that can cheat things into play too, but in a different way. So make sure you check that one out. Regardless, make sure you comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this commander. There we go. We got there. Tripped over my words a little bit. Also, make sure you're checking out my other quick takes and spoilers coming out. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.